Well, hello everybody, and you are super welcome to this episode of Fantastic Female Fridays. My name is Susan Hayes Culleton, and I will be your host for this episode and indeed this entire series right here at VectorVest. So for those of you who haven't met me before, let me tell you a little bit about the show and how it was created. We wanted to create an environment right here at VectorVest where we could have conversations all around women and investing, and particularly talking to women who are making massive waves right around the world in their fields, so that then we could get the inside track and understand what is going on in certain pockets of the world all around us, so that then we could get an understanding of how we can bring tomorrow's trends into today and use those to inform our investing decisions. So my background is that I'm a CFA, I'm a chartered financial analyst, so I am interested in finance through and through, but I'm also managing director of VectorVest Europe right here, so it's my job to take care of all that VectorVest does right across the European region. And as you can imagine, Europe is often in the news for a variety of reasons. And of course, some of those reasons can be very positive, and at the moment they are some of a troubling nature. But we're going to leave that to one side. But I always do think that it's important that we just recognise that some people are really and truly suffering and struggling out there. And we just want to make sure that they know that they're in our thoughts and prayers at this time. Along the way as well, I have had the chance to meet a variety of amazing women who are doing amazing things, and I certainly am super excited to tell you all about the woman that I'm going to be interviewing today. Now, her name is Heidi Browning. She is the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer of the National Hockey League, and to those of you who are joining us from the US, you will know all about that organisation. To those of you who are joining us from further afield, you will still know all about that organisation, and anybody who doesn't know of them, basically add hockey and passion, put the two together, you've got the National Hockey League, but when you introduce Heidi Browning into the middle of all that, the passion and the outcomes explode. That's the way I would describe her. Now, before I tell you how I met Heidi, because I actually met her here in Ireland a couple of years ago, I'm just going to I'm looking up here at my screen. I'm looking at my screen on my phone because, of course, we've got a whole production suite going on here, and I see lots of you are now joining from all over. So can I just ask you to pop into the chat? Tell me where you're joining from. It's always great to hear where people are tuning in from, and I can see that there's lots and lots of you there now. So just tell me there in the chat. Now, if you're on a phone, just to let you know, is that because my YouTube is playing here live on a phone as well, not where we're beaming out from, but YouTube is playing on the phone. And that I can see here is that if I can see the like button, I need to go then 2 steps over to the live chat, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, right, I see. See, a lot of you have found there already. So David C says, greetings from St. Louis. Maria says, hello from Maine. David is now chatting to Maria about where she's joining in from. Phil is here from Ottawa. John is here from Arlington, Texas. Gabby says hello from Utah. Ava says hello from Bengaluru. I see somebody else here is joining from Pennsylvania. San Diego Daily Drive, that's a great name, is joining us from Murrieta, California. Maria is now sharing that she's in there from Waterville. Also, I see Don is joining us there from Edmonton. Kristen is joining us from Northern Idaho. Right, interesting. We have quite the US and... okay, I can see that you're keeping coming. We have somebody here from Dayton, Ohio, from St. Louis, another person from St. Louis, Northern Idaho, North NS Canada, Nova Scotia, Canada, Indiana. Michelle, you're joining in from DC. Oh, I was only there a little while ago. And also here in Charlotte, North Carolina in the USA. I can see somebody else is joining us here from London, etc. So that's really, really great to see. Hawaii, Thomas, I think you're probably the first person that we've met there from Hawaii. And also, I see we have somebody else here is joining us from Dubai. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much indeed, as I say, to each and every one of you for joining us. Hazim is joining us from Doha. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop there because at this stage, Heidi is actually waiting in the wings, and I want to make sure and bring her right here into the middle of everything. So let me tell you a little quick story about how I met Heidi. I was given the delightful job of interviewing Heidi at a sports tech conference in Dublin, and this was happening back in September 2019. And apart from the fact that she was so memorable, I'm sure she'll remember this bit too, is that I was on crutches at the time and I needed great assistance in getting up the steps. And the night before the conference, there was a speaker's reception. I really found it quite difficult to stand for any period of time. And I met Heidi and her lovely husband, or partner, I should say. And both of them were just so kind to me. They were really, really kind, and they were able to help me. And then I said, by the way, hi, I'm Susan. And she said, I'm Heidi. And I said, oh, you're Heidi, like Heidi Browning, CMO of the National Hockey League. And of course, the next day I would be interviewing her on stage. So she is an amazing woman. She's done amazing things. And rather than take you through her biography right now, what I'm going to do is introduce her, bring her right here, right into the core of our conversation. So I'm just going to bring her right in here, and live from New York, here we go. We have the woman herself, Heidi Browning. Hello, Heidi, and you are so welcome to Fantastic Female Fridays here. As I mentioned, I'm in Dublin, you're in New York. Our audience are literally from all over the world, as you could hear me say. You are so welcome here today. First of all, Heidi, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
Well, thank you. And it was that moment that we met in Dublin was also memorable for me because you had color coordinated your cast with your dress and looked fantastic. So you were very, very chic, although you had your boot on. Hi, everybody. I'm Heidi. I'm just delighted to be here. My career has taken so many twists and turns. Where you start isn't always where you finish. I majored in college in international relations with an area of concentration in sub-Saharan Africa, with the idea that I would, potentially be an international lawyer or go into the Foreign Service. And then I fell in love with marketing along the way and never really looked back. And I spent, 10 years really as a marketing generalist, had an opportunity to get in at the ground floor when digital was first becoming a thing. So it was a long time ago, and absolutely fell in love with digital. And I fell in love with digital because the ability to actually track and measure the investment that you're making in marketing and actually be able to optimize and understand and know and grow, those were the things that really excited me. And so, in the early days of digital, a lot of that was really, part of the vision, but it hadn't really come to fruition yet. So through the course of my career, it's been so fascinating to see the evolution of technology and consumer behavior and ad tech and marketing technology and the use of data and how you can use that to be a modern marketer. So I worked in digital, I worked in social media. I was at MySpace before, even before Facebook came out as a big platform. I worked at Pandora, helped to bring them public, Pandora, the music company, and all of these experiences in digital, data, social, mobile, brought me to where I am today, which is the National Hockey League. And while I'd never worked in sports before, that was what was new to me, but I felt really excited to be able to bring my toolkit of technology along with my understanding and knowledge of the younger consumer to the league at a time when it was the cusp of our 100-year anniversary. And the commissioner brought me in with a mission to help evolve our brand to make sure that we're engaging and relevant to the next generation of fans.
And Heidi, that's one of the things that I remember about you as well at that very first time is when you mentioned about Pandora, you mentioned about MySpace, you mentioned about the cusp of new technology, is you're hungry for looking at those new trends and bringing a company through that type of really big change where often there aren't role models, but the companies you work with are setting the stage for others to follow.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things about, as I reflect on my career, I was able to join companies at such early stages. We were inventing what's now become tactics that are in everyday marketers' toolkits, right? So take, for example, joining MySpace. MySpace was a cultural zeitgeist around the world. It was growing so fast that DoubleClick, the ad server, couldn't even keep up. We were breaking DoubleClick at the time. And, marketers were not sure what, user generated content was. How do you engage as a brand? And so there's a lot of insight and education that we had to do to bring them along the way. And when you think about it, it was the most transformational moment in marketing, because for the first time ever, consumers had the technology in their hand to create content. We were using flip video cams at the time, and iPhones were just coming out. You all of a sudden with MySpace had the ability to distribute your content. So you're both a creator and a distributor, and then find audience. And so this really sort of changed the dynamic forever in terms of the content creation and consumption landscape. But it also changed forever that social contract that brands have with consumers, because not only were they creators, but they had a voice, they had a platform, they had followers. And with that, there came this expectation that they wanted brands to listen to them. And so that whole idea of listening has been something that I brought with me from, MySpace all the way to today in the league with our power players, our youth advisory board, always listening to the next generation, really thinking about and trying to understand how they engage with media, technology, content, culture, so that we can make sure that we're on the cusp of what's next.
Now, the listening bit, I think that's so important, and it's interesting how that's among your many defining characteristics. And on that note, Heidi, I'm just going to go back over here to our audience, because anytime you see my eyes moving over here, it's where I'm listening to the audience at the same time. And I just want to let you know here that Johnny Wall Street says hockey is the best sport. Maria says, hi Heidi, my daughter loves hockey in Florida. And then Johnny actually comes back in here as well with a question all around MySpace and also its future, I suppose, and the context of that, which we'll have a chat all around the above. But if I could just summarize what you've been saying there so far, and that is that the cusp of change, the ability for viewers, the participants in sport who aren't on the pitch, we'll say metaphorically, the audience now having a voice, and the fact that you broke DoubleClick, that's quite the claim to fame there. And that is really one of the reasons that I want to bring you on the show today, is we're always interested here at Fantastic Female Fridays at understanding the changes that are coming, to be on the cusp of what's turning around here. And on that note, I'm just going to read something out here, because you've been described as a passionate pioneer in digital, mobile and social marketing, and as an executive who advances new ideas and innovation within the industry. And I'm sure as people get to know you over the next 30 minutes, people, they'll see that. But in particular, what I'd like to ask you is, what new innovation did you see developing as your career took off? And similarly, what are you excited about now?
Yeah, I think from the beginning of digital, when it was just 3 networks, it was Yahoo, it was AOL, it was like the MSN, Microsoft, the early days, just watching the evolution of that was phenomenal and fantastic. And the use of technology to be smart about one-to-one marketing, one-to-many marketing, that then grew into social media. Like, all of these technologies were new at the time, but evolved, and being at the forefront of them, I think I'm addicted to that idea of learning how to take and adapt technology for what we need to be as practical marketers, right? And so with that comes taking a lot of risk, testing a lot of things, always trying to be, first to do something. You have to have a stomach for being first to do something, though, because if you're first to do something that fails, you have to be first to fail. But that's okay, as you learn from it and understand it and apply it and share. I'm a big fan of sharing knowledge and sharing best practices with everyone, because that's the only way our world's going to get better. Our marketing world's going to grow. And, from the early days of digital, when nobody believed in it, to now, where it's really the center of most marketing, it's really, really incredible. So social media, I think, was the biggest revolution at the time, followed quickly by apps. So working at Pandora, it was one of the first apps on the iPhone. All the clever tactics that we used in digital didn't apply in an app, right? You've got 2 different ecosystems, and the way you measure and the way you market are very, very different. And so learning all the new tricks of the trade and teaching ourselves and putting partners in in the industry, vendors to help us get to where we needed to go so that we could serve marketing needs was a really exciting part of that time. And then, of course, all the data that lies beneath, right? So Pandora was a pioneer in personalization. It was truly and still is one of the most remarkable companies, I think, in terms of personalization, because it's not just about predictive technologies. It's about you giving your feedback to the music and then it delivering what it thinks you'll like. It even got so, our data scientists were so good, they could even predict your tolerance. So when to serve an ad within your session so that you would remain listening versus leave. And, and in that, there was a lot of research that we did around generational trends, around geographical trends, around gender trends, around time of day, type of device, right? If you're in a car or on a Sonos or with your, on a laptop or on your cell phone, you had different behaviors with music and how you engaged with it and how frequently you engaged with it. So all of that really helped bring a whole set of knowledge that I brought to the National Hockey League, because we sit here, a 100-year-old brand. We've got all this incredible data. We're so fortunate to have fans who are extremely passionate about our sport. They love to engage, love to tell us. So we've got a lot of transactional, we have a lot of behavioral, we have a lot of attitudinal data that we can bring together to create a future that is more personalized and specialized. And when you look at any trend among the younger generation, the idea of personalization, they've grown up with, right? The feed is wired and everything that they look at based on their interests and everything. And if you want to capture their attention in this attention economy, you have to personalize. If you invest the time in personalizing for this audience, they're going to invest the time in, listening to or looking at your content.
So social media, apps, the data that lies beneath, that's what I'm hearing have been the really key trends. And if I could underpin all of those three with one word, it would be personalization as well. That's what I'm hearing you say there, Heidi. And there's something there in between there that you mentioned that I just really like to draw attention to our audience. And that is, you said, risk. If you're willing to be, you need to have the stomach to risk things, being the first of things. And also, as you said, you're also then sometimes going to be the first to fail as well. And I think there's a life lesson there for us as well, which is that as an investor, I can be somebody that walks a very traditional walk. I can buy a fund that is tracking an index that is, diverse, low cost, and it will deliver the market return. Or else I can be somebody who maybe takes a very time-tested strategy like high dividend yields or stocks with low PE ratios. I can go down that route. Or, like you say, I can take a very risky route, which is maybe trying to get ahead of a trend. And right here at VectorVest, we try to help all of the above. But you're right about the stomach, though, is that you need to have the stomach to go buy it as well. Is that if you are going to be somebody who is, maybe because of the way the markets are at the moment, people are trying to catch a falling knife, you need the stomach for that too, or else following our market timing signals in order to navigate and being able to read the market to be able to navigate that path. So it's just interesting. Marketing and investing, there's actually many parallels between us there, and I just wanted to kind of give a shout out there. Okay, so I just want to maybe just share here with you a couple of things that are coming in. People want to know who's your favorite team. Also, this is it, and here's a piece of data for you. Somebody says here, the NHL app is great, and I love how you can watch the video of every goal. So definitely we have some fans here, and then somebody says, hi Susan, you're an idol. Wow, I didn't expect that one. Thanks for the way you convey information. Well, Cedric, I will tell you, when you have someone like Heidi, she makes it very easy. But maybe I can go back to you first, Heidi. Your favourite team and that feedback on the app.
So we love all of our children equally.
Of course you do.
So I don't have a favorite. You know what? I have a favorite thing about every team, and one of the most wonderful parts of this job is the opportunity to go to every hockey market and visit and with the fans and go through the entire arena. I love that whole experience, the front office experience, the back office experience. I love meeting the people who are have been working in an arena for 40 years. Ushering people in. They take such pride in their jobs. And when I go to these arenas, I also like to just get a ticket and sit in the stands with the fans, and talk to them. And I've made made so many great friends doing that in cities all over North America, but I also learned a lot from the fans too, because, sometimes you're sitting in with, 4 generations of a family that had Ranger tickets. Like, that's incredible, that how much staying power and family connectedness there is. Or, going to Washington and bringing a fan who I just met on Twitter to a game because she was the most passionate Washington Caps fan and happened to be a real passionate supporter of the content I was sharing on Twitter. And so I surprised and delighted her with a trip to the game. Complete stranger. We had a wonderful time and we're friends to this day. And she's part of the Black Girl Hockey Club, which is a really important organization that's helping everybody understand that hockey is for everyone, the diversification of our sport and our fan base. So making these connections through, just being a fan yourself is the most important thing in terms of being the voice of the fan at the C-suite where I sit.
Again, it's so consistently coming through in your own passion, Heidi, is the importance of listening to people. And the real importance there of listening to, whether they're individual fans or the stories of, the fourth generation, the 4 generations, etc. It's really, really lovely to hear. And that's why, of course, we're super happy to hear from you, everybody who's joining us here today. Please do send in your questions and I'll put them directly here to Heidi. If you're not joining us live and you're looking at this as a recording, pop your comments in there as well and I'll happily respond to them. Heidi, among many honours, you've been awarded Adweek's Most Powerful Women in Sport. And many people interact with sport as a way to relax and exercise and everything. So what do you think sport really means to the world today? And by the way, I'm putting that out to all of our audience as well. What do you think sport means to the world today? What does it mean, particularly in the context of where we have come from the point of view of the pandemic and connection and connectedness, etc.?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you just nailed it there. Like, we have a big responsibility as sport, as a global brand, to entertain people, to inspire people, to unite people through, we're based on deep-rooted principles and values, right? From youth sports all the way to professional sports. You learn about hard work, teamwork, perseverance, how to win, how to lose, strategy, respect for each other. These are life skills that we teach kids, and they're life skills that we need to employ at every, aspect of our time here on Earth. And we do very seriously that what we do and how we behave, we have to embody these principles and everything that we do, because we know what a powerful impact we have, what a powerful impact our athletes have, as being, people look up to them and admire them and, try to live their lives in the same ways that our athletes do. So our job and our mission is not only to do good, but to make sure that we're telling the stories about what this all means. And that's one of the biggest shifts, I would say, in sport, in consumer behavior and attitudes, is this shift from being, really focused on the team. Like, it used to be, it's all a team in my local market, team. Well, the globalization of technology and the access people have, the perceived access people have through social media, means that people are looking for one-to-one connections with athletes. They're following athletes. They want to know everything about their lives, not just their skills on ice or on field or, wherever it may be. They want to know who they are as a whole person, right? Who are they in their community? Who are they at their home? Do they have kids, dogs, girlfriends? What do they wear? What do they eat? What do they drink? This whole athlete part is really, really important. And in talking with fans around the world, they'll follow athletes of sports they don't even watch just because they're interesting humans, right? And so to me, this is a transformational moment for us. And for hockey, it's, sometimes a challenge, because hockey is a very team-oriented sport. No one person rises above the other. And the time that I've been here has really been about educating. How do we find that balance? It's possible to be continue to be a fully focused team-oriented sport, but when you're off the ice, also have that time to, share your interests, your passions, your commitment to community on social media and other channels. And you're starting to see more and more players participating in social media, having their voice, standing up for causes that they believe in, which I think is so incredibly important, especially as we, again, look to the next generation where we know that this is table stakes. Like the next generation is very aligned to their values, and they will connect with and reward you with attention and their wallet if you share those same values. And so we need to make sure that everyone knows what we stand for, and that we are here in solidarity with them.
It's interesting how you talk about the team and the individual and how they can coexist. There can be, of course, the focus on the team, but getting to know the dogs and cats and what they eat and drink and their kids and everything else like that, there's almost the individual profile. And I think, we can say that, Heidi, not just necessarily of hockey, but indeed in many sports, but also the life lessons you mentioned, respect, etc. Because Phil has just commented here to say sport builds character. And that's certainly the case, that's certainly the case, all right, for sure. My own brother is sport has been a big part of his life all the time, and it really infiltrates, I suppose, into other aspects of his life as well, whether it is the ability to work in a team and communicate and perseverance and commitment to a cause and self-transcendence, I suppose, if we were going to take the hierarchy of needs and everything else along the way. So it's just interesting, though, how also sport is no longer just about the experience on the ice, but also lives out off the ice as well. And I think that's something that is a trend that's growing and growing, and the technology and social media supports it. So let's stick with that. And is there then, because what you're talking about there is maybe a societal change, a technology change, a connection change or evolvement. Are there new business models that you're seeing in sport? I mean, if I was to go back years ago, we might talk about merchandise. We might talk about rights for TV channels. Even in more recent times, we might talk about influencer campaigns. Are there new sporting business models that you see coming down the tracks?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's so exciting about all of this, right? So I'd say there are evolutionary changes that are being driven by both technology and consumer behaviors. Obviously, broadcast rights are changing. The rise of OTT is transforming the landscape, new players getting into the business. The world of ticketing is ripe for disruption and innovation. Sponsorship models are changing, just moving from, sort of traditional spots and in ice on uniform patches, but transforming into content and events and experiential and AR, VR. There's like so many new ways that sponsors can engage with fans as part of the National Hockey League. Merchandise is evolving as well. But that's, again, I see it all as evolutionary. The revolutionary change is what's coming upon us now, which is the third wave of the internet, the metaverse, blockchain, NFTs. All of the things that we do in our evolutionary world can be ported into, but in a whole new world in the metaverse. And so for me, that's going to be the most exciting part of our future. And, we, as a league, this is a moment in time where we weren't the first to get in, right? The first to do an NFT and do that. We've actually taken our time to build a long-term model centered around fan development, thinking through, what's going to happen. Is this a wave, or is this the next big thing, right? Is it a blip, or is it a permanent reality in our future? I think I used reality in virtual context, but it's just really exciting because in the metaverse, obviously, you've got all those same things, right? Rights, ticketing, sponsorship, merchandise, experiential. So I just think it's going to expand our fan base. I think it's going to be critical for our growth and our future to be a part of it. And it's just a matter of, it's still a really new and uncharted territory for everyone. So we're getting into it, and I can't wait to learn from it.
I'm intrigued to see where the metaverse will bring sport, because the ability for me as an individual sitting here in Dublin, to be able to participate on the side of the like to be watching an ice hockey game, and you know, watching the puck like slide past the, like, you know, I can just really imagine it. I can just imagine it in its 3D world. And who would have thought, Heidi, just a couple of years ago, I don't even think we need to go as far as a decade, who would have thought that we could have all of the people who are joining us here today from all of their various sitting rooms or cars or sitting having a coffee with you and me right now, or whatever they're doing, where I'm here in Dublin and you're in New York and this is being produced from North Carolina. That would have seemed quite futuristic, whereas today we just take it as done. I'm wondering, when you and I meet at another space and time, who knows if it'll be in person or in the metaverse, I wonder what will have changed there. Blockchain, NFTs, there's a whole other area there where I can see the tangential approach, but I can definitely see the metaverse being, well, I suppose I can see it because it's there to be seen. Also, as well, there's constant comments coming in here all around, basically in agreement with you, around a variety of those themes. And in order to make all this happen, Heidi, you do need people. And I know you are really good and really passionate about the next generation. And there's, if any of you want to check out an interview that Heidi did with a podcast called CMO Moves, you'll hear all about that story. And I'm not going to go over that area, Heidi, because it's an area that I know it's been well documented already. But what I do want to ask you is, looking ahead, what are you looking for in the marketing /sports /technology profession? Because I think you inhabit a Venn diagram and you sit in the middle. What are you looking for from future talent? Is it digital? Is it creativity? Is it both? Is it neither? What do you want to see of the people who might subsequently join your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all of the above. And I often coach young people who want to get into sport to really expand their mind of how they think about sport. They want to get in, they want to work for a team or a league, right? But there are lots of ways to touch sports. You could work at a social media platform. You could work as a content creator. You could work in a lot of different places and learn about sport itself. But I do think that the marketing skill set has become so big and so broad that I don't know if it's possible for everyone to be an expert in everything, right? To be both a brand expert and also understand the full marketing technology stack and data cleansing and how to, harness data science to drive your future business. They're kind of right side brain functions, right? And so I think that for people who are interested in getting in sport, find out what your jam is, what you're really good at as a skill, and then overlay it with your passion for sport. And by the way, learning from one sport to another is also equally valuable. Learning from another form of entertainment to bring to sport is also valuable. The things that we learned in music, you can apply a lot of that into the sports world. Fans of, listeners of music are passionate fans, just like fans of sport are. And so there's like a lot of interesting things there. But I think the number one, personal attribute to bring to the table is just this insatiable curiosity, right? Mm-hmm. Because everything is changing so fast. You have to be curious, otherwise it's gonna go by you, right? And again, the curiosity will lead you to doing the research, having the data, supporting the decisions to take risk, and then learning from them. And for me, this whole journey is all about learning, but it all starts with that curiosity.
Insatiable curiosity. I mean, that is so you. That is just so you. But it's interesting, isn't it, that you didn't say a degree or an apprenticeship, or you didn't, you're not putting a name on something that somebody can reach out and catch. It's something possibly that's maybe natural in people. And I have an insatiable curiosity, Heidi, about people's stories, and that's why I'm here with the show today. I'm going to maybe move a little bit closer into the stock market now for a moment. And I just want to ask you a very short but punchy question. And that is, when you think of the word investing, what comes to mind?
Well, I have to laugh because my Twitter bio is peace, love, and ROI. So I think about investing all the time, return on investment. And when I was a kid, actually, I didn't know this at the time, but we were always, when we go up to the ski hill, trying to figure out how we were going to lower our cost per run. So we had to get more, and the more ticket prices went up, the more runs we had to get into a day, or, you know, if you're constantly looking at that. And so little did I know that was going to be a precursor to my life in marketing, where really, you know, being really focused. And again, getting involved in digital was really the thing that struck me, was like the actual ability to track and measure your investment of your media and your creative time to outcomes, whatever they may be. If it's a brand outcome or a sales outcome, or lead generation, whatever it might be, that is what really excites me. So I think investing is all about, you know, whether it's your time, your money, your heart, your soul, your sweat, your tears, it's about, you know, driving to an outcome and then measuring and optimizing it over time.
And like, if I was to translate what you've said into VectorVest language, I mean, the outcome could be return, but it also could be, when you're talking about optimizing and, you know, you're minimizing your cost per run, it could be minimizing your risk, whether that could be volatility, or whether that might be the worry that you have about your money being in the market when the market is falling, but also about optimizing as well. I mean, you talk about time, and I think that's something that we often talk about ROI in the context of money, for sure, but how much time do you want to spend maybe personalizing your journey in the stock market, or learning from others who've done well, etc. So this is why I love doing this show, Heidi, is there's so many parallels between our different worlds, and I think it's so important to learn tangentially from other industries along the way. I'm really glad to say that this is a global show, and you know that based on, as I say, all of the locations where people are joining in today. But do you see cultural differences about how people treat the sport? Like I mentioned there at the very, very beginning, the US and Canada might have a very different relationship to hockey than maybe parts of Europe or the Middle East, where people are joining from today. So do you see those cultural differences, and do you observe them or learn from them? I'm guessing the answer is yes to that bit, but I'm just interested to hear how.
Yeah, you know, one of the lenses that we look through for these cultural differences are really through social media. So we operate social media channels in Europe and in China. And one of the most fascinating things to me is the similarity in humans around the world, in the type of content they like to see, the type of content that they engage with, the type of content that goes viral. And, you know, this was really notable in China when we were first, you know, getting our feet into that world and working with an agency there. We would leverage a lot of the content we created here in the US, but personalize it for China. And we create new ideas in China for Douyin that we bring in and use on TikTok here. And same in Europe. There's so many amazing ideas that have come from our European markets. I will say the European markets tend to be really, really local player focused, right? That's where we start. But it's not to say that, you know, the ideas then expand and go to North America as well. So it's been really wonderful. We have this mantra at the NHL that humans are greater than highlights. And that is driven by all the data that we see when you look at all the top most engaged posts, most shared, most commented, most liked, happen to be human moments. And so that I could say is consistent around the globe in terms of what people want from their social media.
I've heard you talk about that before in my research for this interview, where you talk about human moments, because it is those moments of connection or delight, or of course the opposite when their team doesn't win. And I think, again, I suppose I'm coming back again to what I wanted to achieve with this show is, Heidi, I could sit here and I could share insights about all of what you've spoken about, but by actually bringing you here and bringing, you're more than a human, by bringing the personal approach here and actually sharing your insights and your journey through it, I think I agree with the millions and millions of people that are reflecting that to you. And as our conversation comes to a close, and after that then everybody who's joining me, I'm then going to lead you through a couple of points related to what Heidi has said through the VectorVest system into the stock market directly. But I just want to ask you this. What is next for Heidi Browning? What are the next suite of professional adventures that await you?
Professional adventures. I love how you phrase that. That's awesome. Well, lots to do at the NHL. I've only been here 5 years, so I feel like I'm a rookie on the team because we have so many people that have been here for a long time. And like I mentioned earlier, we are on the precipice of what I think is the most, going to be the next most exciting moment in marketing and business and finance and technology with this Web 3.0. So I want to be there at the beginning. I want to help ride the wave, understand it, share it with, our clubs and, others in the ecosystem so that we can all learn from each other. And really, I do believe that's going to be transformational in connecting us around the globe. The internet's connected us around the globe. Social media has taken it to another level. This metaverse is going to take it to an entirely new level. And yes, Susan, you and I are going to attend a game in the metaverse someday, and that is going to be amazing. But when you think about it, that's like one of the things that we know, that when you attend a hockey game live for your first time, when a fan goes there the first time and hears the sport, sees how fast it is, smells the ice, like it's so exciting. If we could bring that to people who can't get access to ice or ice rinks or whatever, that will be transformational for the growth of our business. The other area that I'm passionate about, that about, is just my commitment to the next generation, to young people, especially young women. I spend a lot of time with young women. They could be 9-year-old girls, or they could be women who want to get into the C-suite, but it's it's my responsibility where I sit today, and for all of us to help get more women in leadership positions and help give them a helping hand, give them the opportunity, give them the, and you're wonderful at this, giving people women a platform to share their knowledge and their passion. And we just need to do more of that. And then, for the adventure part, I'm just going to keep trying to make the most of life. I mean, if that's one thing COVID's taught us about, is how precious life is, both when you're locked in and when you can get out and experience it again. So I want to make sure I don't let that go by.
One of the things that struck me about you, Heidi, the first time I met you and the first time I've interviewed you, was just your excitement for the possible. And I haven't needed to prompt that again today. It's so there and it's so visible. And thank you so much indeed for doing that. And if there's anything that us here, you now have a friend at the VectorVest community through us all.
Oh,
if there's
great.
anything we can do to help you to expand that, or to further any of those, we'd love to. I'm going to finish our conversation here with a comment here from John. John says, I found marketing is firmly rooted in human psychology. The technology is the delivery vehicle to reach the audience. Curiosity keeps making that delivery toolbox bigger and bigger, and they're in capitals. So you can see that you're certainly connecting with people who truly empathize with from a marketing point of view, but also big hockey fans here as well. Heidi, thanks so much indeed for being here with us, and I hope we can talk again soon.
Oh, I hope so too. Thank you so much for having me here. And if anyone wants to nerd out on any of these topics, I'm very findable on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, you can find me.
Yeah, and I can clearly see here that there's people saying that they're going to be checking all of those out, Heidi. Thanks so much again, and have a super weekend.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks, Heidi.
Bye.
Thank you indeed. So everybody, that is indeed the woman herself, Miss Heidi Browning, and she is amazing. And I thought that from the first time that I met her, and I'm glad that I could share her insights and experience with you as well. But like I say, I found anyway that the parallels between what she's talking about there and the trends that she's talking about, that there's really direct correlations there among the way. Just going to check in over here. Thank you, says John. Well, John, you're welcome, and thank you for such a great statement there to finish up on. Maria says, hey, Ms. S. That's hello indeed, Maria, and greetings. And of course, I send all of those out to you too. Okay, so now let us have a chat all around how we can take some of the things that we've learned there from Heidi and to transfer them into the stock market. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop on over to the program. Okay, and sorry, let me go over here to the program. Yeah, here we are. Now, of course, please do pop your questions in if you have any stock market related questions right now. If there's anything you want me to pick up on that Heidi mentioned, of course, please do feel free to do so at any stage. I'm only delighted to do that. And I'm just going to move me over here now a little bit. Okay, so first of all, when we take a look over here at the home page, we can see that the color guard is mildly bullish. Okay, so we can see that over here right now. Also, I'm just going to, because I'm always conscious that sometimes my screen doesn't look very big, particularly if you're looking at this on an iPhone. or any phone, in fact, it doesn't have to be just there. We have been given a confirmed up call now since the 29th of March. So the 29th of March happened this week. And we can also see that we've got some green lights going on, a lot of yellow. A lot of yellow is going on right now in the markets, and we can understand why that might be. That is because there's a lot of uncertainty. And, you know, I was looking there at some of the headlines that have come out because yesterday evening marked the end of the first quarter. There's been a lot, not just volatility, but a lot of market decline that we've seen. Then there's been the resumption of it. Then there was the jobs report that came out today. A lot of uncertainty. We don't know whether the trends are reversing or whether they're weakening. And that is what the yellow light is there to help us to take the pulse of doing. So we've got a red light here in the buy-sell ratio that happened yesterday, and so far today we are back in yellow territory as well with the overall basis on the colour guard. So right now we are standing where we've got a confirmed up call. Our market timing indicator is at 1.05, so that is above 1, and we've got a green light over here. Today, so far, the S&P is broadly flat, negatively flat, but flat nonetheless. But our VectorVest composite, as you can see here, is slightly up. Again, pretty flat, but more so flat on the upside. Okay. Now, David says, I have a retirement portfolio and hedge in stages. My first hedge is added with any red light, which we got yesterday. Yes, you did. Yeah, yes, you did indeed. And look, it is a very, very volatile market, and to be able to navigate it, to be able to understand naturally how to navigate it is indeed a challenge for many, and that's what we're here for. Now, what I wanted to do today was I wanted to bring you over here to Unisearch, because in the last couple of episodes, I have been talking you through how to build a search. I've been talking you through how to read a graph. But I do want to point out that for any of you who might be interested in navigating the market and wondering where maybe to find some new ideas, or wondering where to start, or wondering how to tackle a new market condition, is that over here, Unisearch can provide an awful lot of the inspiration for that, okay? So I'm just going to take you through a couple of the Unisearches here that I really like, and I'm going to tell you why, okay? So first of all, let me go up here to cherry picking, right? So maybe what I'll do is I'll go back to the beginning, right? I want to show you exactly how I'm walking through this process in order to get here from the beginning. Of course, first of all, you need to have access to VectorVest in order to implement what I'm about to show you. So for anybody who's a VectorVest subscriber, you're going to know exactly how to do that. And if I could just ask, I'm just going to ask the guys there back at the HQ, would you mind popping the link for a trial into the chat so that if anybody wants to try out what I'm talking about, then anybody can go and implement that right away. So here I am on home. Then I'm going to go over here to Unisearch. Then I'm going to go up here to cherry picking. And I quite like the cherry picking list because these searches display stocks that can be selected for investment opportunities by analysing their charts. But I particularly like cherry picking because I like the idea of being very selective about the stocks that I might subsequently research. Heidi mentioned there about the return on investment that we have of, you know, putting time into the work that we do, and making sure that we get an optimal result as a result of that. So what I like to do is I like for a search to be quite specific in the results that it generates, so that then I can use my time effectively to pick out whatever I might be picking out. So what I like up here is hot smoothies. This is one of the searches that personally I quite like. Now, I'm a big fan of the comfort index in the first place. Again, for those of you who are not familiar, the comfort index is a stock's ability to withstand severe and or lengthy price decline. So it's a stock's ability to withstand severe and or lengthy price declines. So first of all, the main thing here is that the stock, the comfort index here is above 1.5. So you see what I mean by selective. So a stock doesn't just need to have above average, excuse me, an ability to withstand severe and or lengthy price declines. What it needs is that it needs to be above that average again. So in this case, you can see I want my comfort index to be above 1.5, my stock price to be between $1 and $30, my recommendation to be a buy, and that means I want the price to be above the stop loss. I want the VST to be above 1. I want the relative timing to be above 1. And I also want to see the price diverging away from the stop price as well. So there's an awful lot of conditions to be met in here. My average daily volume, I want it to be greater than 100,000. I'm not looking to short and I'm not looking to invest in certain exchanges. So let's run the search. There we go. So now we can see how many stocks. So in this case, we've got 20 here. Let me just go and see if I was to boost this up to 50, would we find 50 today? We wouldn't. We would find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 48, 49, 50. In fact, we would. Right. Let me go again. Let me go again. Would we find, yeah, okay, let's try and find 100. No, we certainly wouldn't. We certainly wouldn't. No, I'm not going to count them for you this time, but we certainly wouldn't. There wouldn't be a way in which that we could find that many. And now let me just run a quick test here. I'm going to go back. I'm just going to go to 10, just for interest's sake. Okay, run the search here again. And let me know. Okay, so here we have our top 10. Let me just check my CI comfort index. My CI comfort index is over here. It's not actually, sorry, let me go back over there. That has just gone a bit crazy on me there. Okay, let me just here. I want to go back there by, let me just run that search again. I'm just going to run it from the beginning. Now, run the search. So what I want to do is I just want to check my comfort index over here. So what I'm going to do is going to right click and I want to get my layout. Right click and get my layout. And what I definitely want is my CI. So where's my CI here? There we are. It's down here at the very end. Okay, let me scroll on over there then to the very end. And it is where I thought it was, hiding. There we are. All of these, as you can see, all of these stocks have a CI above 1.5. So in here, we can see that there's, for example, here, we've got an energy company, lots of energy companies here. We've got a real estate investment trust down here. We've got LSB INDS. I'm not familiar with what that company is. That's there. And we've got a transportation company up here. So as you can see, we've got some stocks that have got a really good ability to start at the bottom left and move to the top right. Let's say you don't believe me. Let's try some of these out. Okay, so I'm going to graph the selected. Okay, I'm going to move my graph over here for you. And look here. So this is the transportation company. Obviously went through a very, very significant fall there. Didn't bounce off, or well, did bounce off, but never actually cut through its stop loss and has rebounded up there. We've got our buy recommendation there, etc. This stock here, very significant gains there from the beginning of the year. So at this stage, it moved from a hold into a buy. Buy recommendation there at that stage was it was $3.87 and all the way up. Then here we've got, so again, I'm not familiar with this particular LSB INDS, what this diversified company here is, but again, you can see here that there's been a range, a really, really key jump here in the share price as well. Followed a similar path, had a drop and resurgence there a little while ago. Here is a petroleum company called North Euro Oil. Excuse me. Here's another one, and 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 on I could go. So you see here, this is why I like hot smoothies. I think that there are some really interesting, it's a really interesting search. It definitely is a really interesting search, all right. And if you wanted to, which I generally tend to do, if you wanted to personalize it, here is what we would do, is I would add in one more thing. I personally want to see when stocks are moving from the RT below 1 2 weeks ago and the RT is above 1 now. Let me explain what that means. RT is relative timing. And relative timing is stocks, basically it's looking at the stock's trend. So it's looking at the direction of the stock, the magnitude of the movement, and also the volatility or the dynamics of the share price as it moves. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in here that I would like to see a stock's RT 2 weeks ago, below 1, and today what I want to see is that the stock's RT is above 1. So I want to see it having moved through the trend. I want to see that the buyers are now pushing it up over the sellers, but that's a relatively recent thing. So I want it now to be above 1. Great stuff. And let's run the search. John, I'm going to answer your question now in 2 seconds. Aha! You see, this is how I can really refine down exactly what it is I'm looking for. So John asked a question there, what search is being used? Okay, so what I want to do here, John, is I'm just going to show you. So let me just go back to the beginning. So I go back to home, okay? So here's where, when you open up your search, or when you open up your program, this is what you find. Then I'm going to go over here to Unisearch. And then, John, I go into cherry picking in Unisearch, and then hot smoothies, okay? Now, let me see here. We've got 3 stocks over here. No dividends in 2 of them, okay? Very high CIs. But let's take a look at these trends, and let's just take a look and see if these are of interest to us. Whoo! Wow. That stock went from 874 down to 374. Okay. Wow, that's some difference, isn't it? That is some difference. Let me put on the RT there for you. Now, very hard to see that. Okay, what I'm going to do is let me just strengthen up the line of the RT. Let me get, I'm just going to, yeah, okay, let me change this to be much thicker. Okay, Satishan, I will absolutely answer that for you in one moment. Now, you can see here, look at the way the RT has just jumped up. So here is where we could see here, you know, the sellers were winning, they were winning the battle here, and below the stock was below the stop price as well. And now, as you can see, it's just broken up over it. So here we can see here that RT is rising and just jumps right up then, right up. So as you can see, it's now at 1.87. Okay, what else have we got going on here? Look at this. This is lovely. This is an interesting one. So here we can see that the stock moving from the bottom left to the top right. Generally, again, this is what you're going to see when it comes to high CI stocks. Again, to remind you, high CI is high comfort index stocks. It's a stock's ability to withstand severe and or lengthy price declines. And then you can see here how the RT bounced up over a 1. So this is when the sellers were winning the battle and now the buyers are. I can see up here as well that the stock clearly gapped up, but I'm just looking here. The one thing I'm just watching out for here is the volume to see how that is. And I also want to see its earnings. Now we are talking. Now I definitely want to see the earnings moving from the bottom left to the top right. And let me just strengthen up that line for you there also. Okay, there we go. So now I know I'm in the way, right? Let me move over here to the right. Now you can see the earnings are moving from the bottom left right up here to the top right. That's an interesting one. And then also if I look to the last one, we see something similar here in the oil trust. Stock is good long term. The ability to withstand severe and or lengthy price declines. As you can see here that it's moving up. The RT again has bounced over 1, and again we can see that the earnings are moving up, and that's always super important that we are that we've got that balance maintained in there. Now, let me head on over there and have a look at what you are saying. So I've been experimenting with contras and bottom fishing. Okay, glad it's paper trading. Okay, so Satishan says, sorry to ask a basic question. What did you click to get the layout panel? Of course, no problem at all. So what I did in order to get the layout panel, I don't know whether you mean for graphs or for Unisearch, so I'll show you both, is that what I did was, I'm going to go back here again to home, okay, click on Unisearch, and then the parameters down here, if just in case they're not available to you, you can toggle them here, right up here, up here in this top right corner. That is where I got the panel for me to actually set my parameters. If you're asking me that in the context of the graph, and I click here, and let's say I'm just going to put in a stock here, I'm going to put in, do you know what I'm going to put in? Somebody here mentioned a sporting ETF, bets BETZ. Round in sport, okay? Who? Right. So there is an ETF actually. Well, if I move, I'm just going to move me again. Okay, just going to move me over here. You can see here that actually in the last 3 months, this is interesting. I'd say the RT has bounced right up there. I'd say, yeah, look at that. This is a very interesting bullish divergence here now. Very interesting bullish divergence. Thank you indeed for that, Maria. So how did I get the layout? What I can do here is on the right hand side again, just toggle this over here on the right, click on graph control panel. And if when you do that, they're still hidden, then you can also click on graph layouts here as well, Satisha. So thank you for asking that. Okay. Let me just see here. Phil says, just tried your RT filter in Canada and found no results in many trials of the last number of days and weeks past. Yes, Phil, and I've seen that in Europe quite a bit too. The thing is that it's hot. That's why it's cherry picking. When I put in the RT, because of the volatility that's in the market, and particularly outside of the US, it can be very hard to find them. That excites me, actually. That excites me about what is possible when I do come across a stock then that fits the criteria. But certainly I couldn't be guaranteeing at all that many or any will be there. And as I say, that is what I like about it. So, let me see who else says here. Hello Susan, is the MTI a moving average of what length? Okay, so the market timing indicator, if we come back over here, the market timing indicator, what I just want to point out to you here is, sorry, let me go back here to viewer, and I want to go to timing. That's where I want to go, and let me click here on market timing in here. Okay. Okay, so clearly my market timing isn't in the business of appearing for me. I go back here to the home page and we'll see it there instead. Now, here we go. So over here, the market timing indicator. So as you can see here, I just give you the basics of it. Okay, so from company point of view, of course, how it actually works. And what it's built on is proprietary, but I do want to explain a couple of things about it. Number one, quite simply, above one is favourable, below one is unfavourable. So you saw there, really the MTI has spent quite some time this year in negative territory, or in unfavourable territory. That's the first thing here for a start. Secondly, I tend to find that the comfort index and the market timing indicator, they kind of can tend to move together. And when they move together, like you're seeing at the moment, the market timing indicator is above one and we've got a confirmed call. However, back here on the 24th of March, the market timing indicator was above one, but on the other hand, we were in a confirmed down. So it does tend to be more for that investor or that trader who is in the market for a longer period of time. So that's what I would say. Now, to answer your question though, in essence, what I think where you're going on this is, how conservative an investor might one be if one was to look at the market timing indicator. So here's what I would do in order to answer your question is take a look at a graph, okay? And let's change the graph from a stock to market timing. Okay, so this is the VVC. Okay, this is the VectorVest composite. And at the bottom, look at the MTI. I'm going to strengthen it up here. I'm going to change this to style. And okay. And what you can do then here, I'm just going to move me again. There you go. What you can do then is go back over previous periods of time. And one last thing I would do here is I would insert a line, horizontal line, at the level of 1. And I know it's there already, but I do it anyway. And I'd strengthen that up too. Okay. Now, there you go. And you can look at every time that MTI went below 1 and above 1 and to see from a paper trading point of view the decisions that it would have led you to make and how you would have handled those decisions, and then that can help inform your thinking about its usage in time going forward. So I know I'm not directly telling you how it actually works itself directly, and as I say, that's because it's proprietary, but apart from that, what I really wanted to get across is how you actually use it. Now, Ram says, once we identify the potential stocks, so you have 3 of them. What is the plan or approach for investing or trading? Right, now Ram, if I was to answer that question, I would be here for quite some time. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to direct you to the training tab here. And the training tab on VectorVest will leave you through exactly particularly your 10-minute management plan. So you can see here how it goes, your 30-second stock analysis system. Let's say you've that piece done. Green light buyer, that will talk to you about the specific time action plan. And then also your 10-minute management plan down here as well. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there. And I see David there is chiming in there as well, which is brilliant. And of course, absolutely, you're welcome, Sasha. Absolutely, any other questions you have, pop them in there. And if we're not here and if we're not live, well then of course I'm always happy to answer in the comments as well. So, ladies and indeed gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this episode of Fantastic Female Fridays. I have really been delighted to interview Heidi Browning. She has been such a joy. Delighted to bring her here and to share her, to give her the platform to share several insights with us as well, because from all of those points of view, there's a lot that we can take away from that can inform the way in which marketing and sports and technology and how they all interact are affecting something as large and scalable as the National Hockey League. And of course then there's many things that we can take away from that we can implement in our own development of our learning around the stock market. What I'm going to do now is, of course, as I always do, I am going to put together the follow-up article because, of course, for me, the work does not stop when I press stop streaming here. I'm going to put together a follow-up article, and as always, you will be able to see that on the blog, but particularly if you want to get it straight into your inbox, go to Now, I'm going to do this to you right now just so that you can see exactly what to do. So what I would suggest that you all do, this will give you the follow-up, okay, in here. So www.vectorvest.com/FFF, and in here when you go to vectorvest.com, you can put in here, if you put in your name, your last name, your email address, etc. in here, then you will get the follow-up email. It will be sent straight to your email address, and also you will be notified here through this mailing list as well of the next episode. I can tell you it's going to be on the 22nd of April, and I have another fantastic woman in store, and that is Celeste Headley. So I'll tell you all about her in the next episode, and so we're going to keep the conversation happening along the way. John asks, will the replay work? Absolutely. It's already there because, of course, this is being broadcast live here on YouTube. So, also I see some of you there saying hello to Joey, and hello to Joey and to Clay. Thank you as always for producing today's episode. My last thing before I go is, will you please, if you enjoyed today's content, please like the video. That always enables us to make sure that this episode and others are found more easily on the internet when people are sharing. Not just sharing, when they're searching. And also, if you like today's episode, please do subscribe to the channel or press share and then send it out to your WhatsApp groups or other people who might be interested along the way. So on that note, everyone, have a wonderful, fantastic Friday, and thank you for being here with me. It is my pleasure to be here with you and to be the host of this show. I'm going to again see you next time. Thanks everyone, and goodbye.